What did you guys think? You liked it? It was better than I told you it was going to be, right?
Yes.
I think so too. So for a few new faces that I see in here, I'm GiGi Diaz with iHeartRadio, and you guys know what's coming up next, right?
Yes.
Oh yes, I see you. I hear how excited you are. Guys, please help me welcome two of the stars of Orange is the New Black. Put your hands together for Selenis Leyva and Dascha Polanco. Come on in, I know, me too. Come on in here, girls. Guys, and give them a nice, warm welcome. Show them your character. You guys enjoyed this episode. Have a seat, ladies. There's some water for you as well. Listen, the first thing I want to know is when you guys started this show years ago, did you know it was going to be such a hit that there were people obsessing over this show and skipping work? May or may not have been me to binge the last season the day that they come out.
No, I thought my career was over. I thought it was a web series, and I was like, well, here we go. It's over. So no, I don't think any of us really, Netflix was not known for its original programming, so we were the guinea pigs. And thank God it worked out, because we would have been that show that bombed, but we're not. Thanks to you guys.
And I think in a way, it's what catapulted all these other incredible series that we also love to watch. You guys had so much to do with that. And what's it like working with such a diverse cast? Because you guys have all kinds of actresses and actors in there. What's that experience like when you guys hit the set?
Yes, like Kate Mulgrew, that crazy Russian.
I think that it's something that we all yearn for. Apparently the audience has, throughout the world, has shown that they wanted to see this on TV. And us growing up, I think when we aspire to be actors or in the creative field, we always look on to see somebody that we can relate to. And I think that the relativity, the stories that are being told beyond the prison is what we all can connect. So it was very important to be part of the project of being included and not excluded, which is, the norm, right?
What about for you, Dascha? Your character, Sayonara, wraps up season 4 very, very intensely, and you are the opening shot of season 5, and you are what triggers everything that goes on right now. When you read this, when you first had your sit-down read, what did it feel like to have your character have to carry all that all the way through? That's a lot of pressure. I was stressed out for you.
I know.
Did you think it was like that? I remember we were talking about it. You were like, oh shit.
I'm done. Bye.
I'm done. Bye.
They're gonna tackle me down. I'm just fucked up. That's all. No, you know what? I think that we grow with our characters and we move from judging them to then understanding them and having empathy and sympathizing with them. I think that as a whole, Orange has been able to speak about topics, relative pop culture topics, current events that are really serious that I was not aware of in prison issues. I can't talk today. I'm too worried about my outfit.
Which is on point. I don't know what you're worried about.
And we were tanning. But no. On a serious note, I learned a lot from the show. Not only from my character, but I learned a lot from prison reform to what women go through in jail. What are the issues that we need to address in jail? Because we really are not exposed to that. And so the show came up, we started being part of the conversation. And I think that Genji, the writers, we always speak about that, have a way of intertwining what's the current events into the show. And although it comes out a year later, for some reason, the stars align and it's right on point.
And talking about that in particular, the growth of your characters, does it become more difficult to take on the character every new season, or is it easier as the character grows to continue to interpret?
That's a very good question. I think that for me, I think all of us, we've been doing this now for a couple of years. So once we go back on set, we're back, and it feels, once I put on those boots and they give me that tattoo and they strip it down and add stuff and make you look a certain way, you're home again. So yeah, I think the second season was hard because first season came out, we didn't think anyone would watch, and you watched. And then the second season, the first day back, it was a scene in the kitchen where I'm like in the kitchen and I'm running stuff, and I was like, I was like, I can't act now. I was like, I'm gonna get fired. They're gonna take back my contract. It's over, because I was so aware of the fame and so aware that millions of people were watching worldwide. That was scary, right?
And also, I always think about when I reflect back on the season, first and second season, I was like sexually active in the show and doing things that I would never expect the prison mate to do. So when the fans, male fans,
You boys.
yeah.
And
female too, from every different age range,
Yes, it's true.
70s, 60s, and they're like, oh my God, I think you're amazing in the show. I'm like, I was on my knees for most of the time.
What are we talking about? Did you actually watch all the episodes?
Yeah.
Or just that? Okay, in the show, Aleida asked Claudia to be a mother figure to Daya, and do you feel that their relationship has changed for the better or for the worse throughout the years as she has taken on that responsibility?
the relationship with Gloria and Diana.
Yes.
I think that we see it, there's conflict now, you know what I mean? Because Gloria has really, really taken that to heart, and she's like, I'm going to watch out for you, and that means I'm no longer like your cool sister or your cool auntie. I'm now like, putting down the law, which Aleida never did, you know what I mean? So their relationship has gotten more complex. I think that they lean on each other very differently now, and they're connected in ways that are complicated. Do you know what I mean? These two love each other, but it's tough love.
Yeah. It's kind of like that aunt that you depend on. As soon as you're in trouble, you call her. Like, I love you, but I gotta do what I gotta do. That's kind of like the relationship they have. And it's been a beautiful journey to be able to work with other Latinas in different dynamics within the family that we've created within the prison as inmates. I find it interesting that she has more of a family in Litchfield than she's had outside, where she was more of like looking and searching and just part of a vicious cycle, right?
And talking about family, some diehard fans out there might actually already know this, but in season 5, episode 8, when they do the segue into Dayanara's background when she's a teenager, it's actually her daughter who plays her younger self. And I'm curious to know, she looks just like you, by the way, she's gorgeous. Did she already want to act, or was that something that you were like, Mommy, help me out, let's do this thing? What was that? How did that happen?
Okay, so this is how it happened. The first season I played myself, because I think I could play a teenager. So I played myself at 5, it was season 5, right?
Yeah, season 5.
Season 5, at this time you would get all the season mixed up. I knew that there was going to be a backstory, and I was like, well, I could play 17, and they were like, no, we need somebody that looks really young, and I'm like, so I called Selenis, I was like, Selenis, like, what can I do? And she's like, your daughter. I was like, oh, shit. Yo,
I'm still waiting for that 10%.
But to give credit to my manager, he was like, why don't you submit your daughter? I consulted, we usually have conversations, and then she was like, sure. And I was like, on her, I was like, you do not make me look bad. You don't go to karate. You sit, if you're not asked to go anywhere, you don't get up. You know how we are, right?
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I'm still in
Spanish. No te me pares y no te preguntan y hazme el favor y te me porta que tú me estás representando a mí. No, si tú tienes hambre te lleva tu cosa. You know how it is, right? So she was like, Mom. I was like, te lo he dicho, yo te lo dije. Bueno, but she was on time. She was very professional.
And she did an amazing job.
And my first kiss was, that I know of, was,
Really?
Quote, quote, her first kiss was on Orange. She was like, I gotta kiss him. I was like, just do it. Just do it. She's like, okay. So that was fun. But, I didn't speak about it much this season to protect her, because she is part of the New York City public school system, and she takes the train, and I kind of like keep them out of the limelight. For those that always ask me on social media, They usually do to you too. Why don't we post our kids? It's because of that. I think that we have more fame than we expected to throughout the world. So for safety, we kind of keep them out. But yes, that's my daughter, and yeah, she's my twin, I guess.
Is she gonna keep acting, do you think?
Yeah, her and my son, I have two. They're both.
And
you
they're
know,
both
down, they're both down for whatever. Whatever mama says.
Ladies, you have done such a spectacular job with this show. It is no surprise the success that they've had with a cast such as yourselves. Historically, for the record, and some of you might know this as well, Netflix is above in nominations for the Emmys, something that has never happened before. For the first time in 18 years, HBO is not leading in nominations with Emmys. Netflix is, and it's thanks to series like these. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
It's unfortunate that the Academy didn't recognize our little show, by the way, FYI, just saying.
Shade.
Yeah, I'm throwing shade. I'm saying it directly. I'm an Academy member too, and it's shady. And we'll continue. Yes, Gigi.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions? You can raise your hand, we'll bring you a mic. Yes. What's your name?
My name is Baby. I wanted to know, how do you guys go back into that dark place between cuts?
That's a good question.
People are getting more creative.
I know. People are getting. You guys should do the junkets. Sorry. You're right. I think that there are moments, like you said, when there are dark moments, and we've had a lot of dark moments. You know, season 5, I spent a lot of time like alone and wet. 'Cause I was literally wet for like a couple of weeks with rain, and that was shot throughout a couple of weeks. And to stay in it was easy because I was miserable. It was cold and it was wet and stuff, so it was easy. But I think that we know these people so well. We know them that it's easy to jump right back into their shoes, into their lives. We helped create these individuals. We have amazing writers. Genji Cohen is brilliant. And I know that she's taken a little bit of Sasson here, Sofito here, and added. And so it's easy to jump into those moments. But we also laugh a lot, and we joke around a lot. We have to, in order to have these moments that are so vulnerable, and you have to go to places. You have to like and trust the people you work with. So there are times where we snap out of it, like Booga's screaming, and you're like, oh girl, and we'll talk about something else and snap right back in. But we need that. You know what I mean? You need that refreshing.
Because at times, even being there for 6 months, you tend to kind of condition yourself to actually feel like you're incarcerated. And to snap out of that every day, I think you have to have a normal life or normal conversations, and I just talk about that. Because if not, you can easily incarcerate yourself, right?
It can get really
It just
ugly.
reminds me how much I wouldn't want my freedom taken away. And so it's important to understand that these people have no control over their freedom, and how detrimental that is to a human being when we take away their freedom and we don't put them in a position to better themselves, educate themselves, or learn more. They just become kind of dull and dead, right?
Yeah.
Dead alive, walking dead. Shouldn't be saying that. But you know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? Yes, up here. What's your name?
My name's Oriana. What was the most difficult scene for each of you guys to film?
Wait. Where? Which one?
The one in session right now.
In episode 6.
I'm so confused of where we are. So
I don't know
what do you know?
That was the one
This is episode 1 of
I don't
season
remember
6.
what happened. What happened, girl? That was awful. Not because, hey, Jessica's fine, but it was awful to be in that position of humiliation. These women were humiliated, and that was the hardest scene this season for me to shoot. We both had a hard time with that because we were being humiliated. And all I kept thinking is, I could say, you know, cut, or I can't really say cut, but I could be like, can we do that again or not? But these women can't. You know what I mean? When you're humiliated, when you're told what to do, and that CO, he was such a mother.
That was who?
He was so good. El Aldo.
Oh, sí, the one that was beating
Awful.
Yeah.
Like awful in a good way, you know what I mean? Like in a good way. But that was this one was hard. And for me also, back in the day when I had to go and get really ugly with Laverne Cox's character, Sophia, that was really hard for me. That was hard for me because I had to say things and do things and be a part of a dialogue and a narrative that I don't believe in. You know, I am all for the LGBTQ community. I have a trans sister.
Yes.
So for me to have to go there, that was hard. That to this day, I think even more than the makeout session.
For me, one that stands out is when I have to give up the baby after I give birth. That was like really hard. As a mother, you're like, I want my baby.
Yeah.
I have no control over that. And to have to give birth and you're actually in handcuffs while you're giving birth, that was very real.
And that's someone's truth.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's not like we're creating the story. This is fact, right? And then the second one was when I read the scene where I'm getting beaten by the guard. I was like, oh, it's abuse, you know, you're just gonna get hit. But when I was actually on the floor and they put a sandbag behind me and he's hitting me with all his might, but I don't feel it. But just the thought of knowing that this is what goes on, like I instantly I was just breaking down. I didn't expect to break down. I thought it was just going to be a pain and reaction, right? You're analyzing what you're gonna do or whatever. But at that moment I had to break down because it was so intense, it was so profound that we're not exposed to that. We only see what they want us to see. And to really know that physically, humiliation, stripped from all your human rights, goes on every day while we're just, you know,
Well, we're here, you
living
know.
our lives.
And I think that's one of the things that make us love this show so much is the fact that, and it's evident now talking to them and seeing you guys in person, the love that you have for these characters and the way that you interpret their truth and their reality with so much emphasis and with so much of your own hearts in that is, I think, what keeps us gripped to Orange is the New Black season after season is the love that you guys have for what you do. Trust me, it's definitely felt across the screen, right?
Yeah.
One more question, anybody? Over here, yes. What's your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
I've been a fan from season 1 and I just love the show. This particular episode was a very different genre setting for what's normally known. You're in the same type of setting, the same look, the same place. How much will you be challenged throughout this season being in a federal prison now?
I think we were challenged outside of it. When we first came in there, we were like,
First of all, I was like, where's our set?
yeah.
And I still got lost, like 2-3 months into it. I was like, where?
We never got used to like where everything was.
Right.
Because we were in Litchfield for 4 years. So it was like, oh, cafeteria's here.
The kitchen's here, the
We
dorms are here.
How to like hide. We were in crafty and they were calling us, we hiding like, eating our cheese. But celery. But I know we spoke about this at the beginning. We were like, this is like
Feels like a
real
different
shit.
show.
Yeah.
It felt like a different show. It felt like we were starting a new show, new season, but new show. And I thought that worked really well, given the situation, given the where we are. We're no longer comfortable. We no longer have each other. And you'll see that as the season progresses, that these women no longer have each other to rely on as they did before. And it's a dangerous place.
Yeah, because everything is tested now. Loyalty,
Yeah?
who's your friend.
Survival.
Yeah. And when you're put in a position like that, when you're pushed against the wall, you're gonna do whatever you have to do it.
So we can definitely expect some differences and some
You're gonna see some
further
snitches,
growth.
you're gonna see non-snitches.
We can't wait. I speak for all of us, right? Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Please give it up. Ladies, Leyva and Dascha Polanco. Now if we don't put this on Instagram, it's like it never happened, right? So I'm gonna need you guys to put your hands up real high. Look like you've had as much fun as you've actually had.